Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, it was 3-0. What an absolutely incredible comeback we just got to witness in game 4. We're recording this 15, 20 minutes after the game ended. Uh, Insane comeback from the Oilers there. We're going to be talking about that later on in the episode, obviously, but before that, we are going to get to some of the awards because they've been rolling out the awards throughout the week, and we actually got the awards ceremony earlier today, so we know all. I'm pretty sure all the winners of all the awards at this point.
I believe so. Yeah, every award is out there now. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got all of that. Obviously, Stanley Cup and Conn Smythe withholding, but we got a couple of those to go through. Brundi, do you want to talk about the first one? Because I know you've got a good amount of stake in this one.
Yeah. Well, no, I guess kind of. Yeah, if you think about it, certain ways. But yeah, the first one that came out, I think, out of these three, or I guess four technically to go through here. Lane Hudson of the Montreal Canadiens does in fact win the Calder Trophy. Um, this was the right pick. I kept saying Dustin Wolf. I think just hoping to maybe manifest it or something. Um, but it was always going to be Lane Hudson. It was a incredible rookie class all in all. There was a lot of good players, but with the records Lane Hudson was setting with just how incredible his just overall numbers were this year, as especially as a defenseman, he was the pick. He was always going to be the pick, and again, yeah, this is 100% the right winner. Wouldn't
Yeah,
have been like, oh, it's a travesty if either Celebrini or Wolf won it, because again, I think those guys were also very very deserving. Uh, but it should have been Lane Hudson who won, and it deservedly was his in the end.
yeah, yeah, and he got 165 first place votes, 25 second, and that's all of the votes. No third, fourth, or fifth place votes for him. Everyone
Yeah.
had him in their top two, which really speaks to how incredible he was. Dustin Wolf came in second. Celebrini came in third. Very close. They were both at 1100. Wolf was at 1169. Nice. And Celebrini was at 1104. So pretty close there. Like the season that Matvei Michkov had could be a Calder finalist in most years. In some years, win it. And he
Hmm.
was rightfully not even a finalist this year.
Yeah, it's
Like
like I
that's
said, this rookie
a
class was
crazy rookie class.
was really insane, and yeah, I think all three finalists were well deserving of being the three finalists. Again, they all had incredible seasons within their own right. I also just really love that it's a defenseman, goalie, and forward. Like instead of just the normal, oh, it's
That
just
does feel good.
three forwards. Here you go. So seeing it spread out a bit, and again, Lane Hudson winning was the right pick. So congrats to Lane Hudson on winning the Calder Trophy this year.
Yeah. We still got a couple other awards to get through. The next one we'll talk about here is Anze Kopitar winning his third career Lady Byng Trophy. This one was kind of predictable. You know, he's won it before. He only had 2 penalty minutes all season, and from what I heard from Kings fans, it was a tripping call where somebody else stepped on his stick. So like borderline an infractionless season.
Hmm.
This was I don't know how close the voting usually is for the Lady Byng. This was incredibly close. The
Was
so
it? I didn't
Kopitar
see the votes on this one.
Kopitar won with a five with 856. Suzuki was in fifth with 694.
Wow.
And so Point had 793, Eichel had 782, and Slavin had 760. So like there was 4 people within 100 of Kopitar.
Wow.
Like it was very close. Uh Braden Point coming in second. I do wonder because he actually Point came in second, but he actually had the fourth most first place votes. He had less than Eichel and Slavin. I do wonder if he doesn't get in that one fight because he had 7 PIMs all year. He had a minor penalty and then a fighting, and he got that in I want to say like the fourth last game of the year. I do wonder if he didn't get in that fight if that would have been enough to push him over the top, but it's
Very
impossible
well
to say.
potentially considering how close it was. Yeah. Definitely
Yeah,
could have shifted a couple voters.
yeah, but the Lady Bing is always one that a lot of people aren't a huge fan of. I think it's fun to celebrate it, but you don't. It's not something where you have to take too much stock into it. Winning the trophy doesn't mean you're going to make 5 million more on your next contract. But
Yeah.
congrats on Kopitar, super
Yeah.
solid dude. Everyone knows
He's
that.
not
That's
gonna
why
win
he's
the
won it three
Selkie.
three times.
Might as well win the Lady Bing, right?
Yeah,
At least he's getting some kind of hardware.
absolutely. And then the did we already talk about? I don't think we talked about this. I don't think we got it on our list. Did we talk about the
In
Norris
this one.
Trophy?
Oh, no, we didn't. That was okay. I thought we were maybe missing one. So yeah, so that's the one we're missing.
Oh, okay. So for the Norris Trophy, our Norris Trophy winner is, I believe, second time winner now, Cale Makar, which feels kind of crazy because he's been torching the league for about 4 or 5 years now. But that's why it's so hard to win these awards. Even when you're absolutely incredible, there's just other people putting up career years. Everyone else is trading off when they're having their best year, and it's hard to win those awards. So Cale Makar gets his second. He had 1861 points. Zach Werenski had 1266, and Quinn Hughes had 918. After that was Morrissey and Hedman, both down in the 200s. So it really was just the three at the top getting all of the points. And
those are the
Makar,
three names that we kind of threw around all season long.
yeah, since like December, January, it was pretty locked in unless somebody else like absolutely torched the league. Somebody who did kind of torch the league for a while and ended up getting seventh in voting, Thomas Harley. He even got a second place and a third place vote. Like, fair.
Yeah, good
Like,
on
dude
him. Yeah.
was crushing it this year.
He stepped up once Heisman went down. He stepped up and was huge for Dallas in the final stretch of the regular season. With Cale Makar, this is a pretty crazy stat. In Cale Makar's 6 NHL seasons, his first year he won the Calder Trophy. Second season he was the Norris runner-up. The following year, his third year, he won the Norris and won the Conn Smythe along with Stanley Cup.
Honestly,
His
I thought he
fourth
won the
season.
Conn Smythe in his second year. Like,
So in his fourth season, he was a Norris finalist. Fifth season, a Norris finalist, and then this year he won the Norris. So in
all
his
he knows is hardware.
6 NHL seasons, he's got a Calder Trophy, Stanley Cup, Conn Smythe, 2 Norrises, and was a Norris finalist. For 5 of the 6 seasons, the only season he wasn't was his rookie year, and he won the Calder instead. So really impressive resume by Cale Makar already. Like, this is. You look at what he's got here, and you put it on a guy who's played 16 years, and you're like, yeah, that's a Hall of Fame resume. And it's like he's done this in 6 years.
I'm trying to think of somebody who you could list all those accolades and gaslight me into thinking who it is. If you listed all of those and then just said he played 1,300 games, I would have guessed you're talking about like Drew Doughty or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's incredible what Makar has done in this league in such a short amount of time already, and it's going to continue to do this. Like, it's really
for a
crazy.
good while. Man,
Yeah.
how old is he? He's still so young. He's 26. Bro hasn't even reached exact franchise yet.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go, long career ahead of him. And again, this resume is just going to keep on growing for him because I don't see Makar slowing down anytime soon here. The level he's at is
No.
truly just impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have too much more to say on the Norris.
Yeah, no.
Zach Werenski, I think, really had a good run at it. Makar hitting 30 goals really put the nail in the coffin. And Werenski had, I think it was like an 8 or 9 game streak of 0 points down the stretch where Columbus really fell off. If he was able to keep pace from earlier in the year, I think it would have been a lot closer. I think Quinn Hughes would have won it if he didn't get injured. If Vancouver made the playoffs, but unfortunately he missed quite a few games, right? Like, it was like 15 or something, I think. Like, it was.
Yeah, given the circumstances of it all, like it was just hard at that point.
Yeah.
But again, by all three of these guys, from Makar to Werenski to Hughes, all really impressive seasons. And again, like, they're just, all three of them are so key to the success of the teams that they're on. Like, you look at them and they totally changed the entire game when they step on the ice for their team.
Yeah.
Like, they are the best of the best, and
Yeah.
they get recognized for it year after year. Well, Werenski may be more of a kind of first time being in this kind of conversation, but I think he's shown that he can play at this level and he's here to stay. So
Yeah. If he can keep being healthy, I think he's going to be hovering around this conversation for at least the next 5 years.
yeah, yeah, I would agree with that.
We got two more trophies to talk about. We got the Hart Trophy and the Vezina Trophy, both going to Connor Hellebuck. I don't remember if we talked about it last episode, but we kind of suspected he would win it because this was the one that was leaked. There was screenshots from his video that they've been doing where they present the awards to everybody that got leaked that had him holding the Hart Trophy and the Vezina. And now that it's come out, we can, look at that picture, look at the video, and tell they are clearly from the same place. This is clearly the leak was real, but we didn't know it at the time. So, congrats to Hellebuck. Definitely deserved the Vezina. He almost unanimously won the Vezina. He had 31. So the Vezina is voted on by the GMs, the general managers of every team. He got 31 first place votes and 1 second place. And the other first place vote went to Andrei Vasilevsky. I am very curious if they put out who voted on these. I would love to know.
I don't know that they don't. Not for this one.
No.
No, it's the ones that they're voted on by like the writers and whatnot, and
the Writers
the
Association.
analysts. They get those ones can come out, but you never really hear it when it's like this where the GMs are voting on it. Unfortunately,
I wonder if it was Kevin Cheveldayoff, the GM for the Jets. I wonder if
that
it's,
would be my guess.
If it's one of those things where like you don't vote for your own goalie kind of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. If I had to guess, I would probably be. Yeah, I think.
But yeah, the right guy for the Vezina definitely won. We knew it would be Hellebuck unless he fell off, which he did not. Vasilevsky coming in second, Darcy Kemper coming in third. The total points were Hellebuck 158, Vasi 80, Kemper 33, and in fourth, Logan Thompson with 7. So you only get a first, second, and third place vote for the Vezina, and the vast majority of those points went to everyone in that top 3 because Kemper in fourth with only 7 points, which is good. It means the voters they all kind of agreed. Obviously, a couple nice names to see in there. Dustin Wolf got a third place Vezina vote. Sam Montembeault got one, which I was a little surprised by, but they made the playoffs, so it makes sense. So congrats to those guys, and especially Hellebuck on a fantastic season.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Well deserved by Hellebuck and well deserved by all those players that you mentioned, getting votes and getting some nods of respect from guys around the league.
And then the Hart Trophy, which is voted on by the Writers Association. So we will probably get to see at some point who voted for what on this one. I think this is the closest I've ever seen the Hart voting. The Hart is usually kind of close, but usually there's a gap between the guy who made it in first. But Hellebuck had 1346. Draisaitl was in second with 1209. He was not that far back.
Well, first of all, Connor Hellebuck won the Hart. To just throw that out there, that Hellebuck did in fact win the Hart. We were talking about it a lot this year. I think we have had an episode titled about that, and it came true. Connor Hellebuck is the first goalie to win the Hart Trophy since Carey Price did in 2015, and joining Carey Price as the only other goalie to win the Hart Trophy in the salary cap era. Which is pretty incredible that we saw it once and we got to see it a second time here. Is just really truly incredible.
Yeah, and
like that they actually went with a goalie. I kept saying it, but I was like, are they really gonna And they did. They did it.
Yeah, I do think if Draisaitl didn't get injured this year, I think he would have ended up winning. He missed 11
Probably.
He missed
Yeah.
11 games, and he already led the league by like 8 in goals by the end of the year. If he plays another 11 games, he probably leads the league in goals by like 15. He's only 140, not even 130 some points back. I think that would have been the difference, just being
There's a very
just
good
putting the
chance.
distance
Yeah.
in there. But luckily it's happening to a guy that at least already has a Hart Trophy, so it's not. Yeah, it's hard to feel too bad for him.
Hmm.
But incredible season from him and from Nikita Kucherov, who came in third. Have you seen the voting for the Hart Trophy yet at
I
all?
have. Yeah. Yeah.
So Kucherov had 973 points, so he was the third finalist. Nathan McKinnon fourth, 972. He was 1 point back from being in that finalist. Um, Obviously, I have a strange position on this because I am a Lightning fan, but uh, the fact that the players voted the Ted Lindsay to Kucherov, and Kucherov was 1 point in even a fifth place vote away from not even being a finalist. It's the Writers Association does not like him. I mean, we knew it, but like this is pretty solid evidence of that.
I don't
Like,
necessarily think it's that. Uh, I think it's I think it's more so a different type of thing of like respect that players have for the guys that they go up against. Right? It's so different from just kind of viewing the game from afar and watching as opposed to like being in the action and witnessing it out there on the ice up against these guys. Um
I guess.
because who are the it was McCarr and McKinnon were the other two for the Lindsay, right?
Yeah. McCarr,
Yeah.
that's one of the things because they put so much respect on McCarr's name, but then McCarr for the Hart, he had 0 first place votes. McKinnon had 27. If I had to vote for one of them for the Hart, I would have gone with McCarr personally.
Yeah,
I think
that's fair.
it's pretty close. Like I don't think McKinnon had a bad season. He should definitely be in the top 5, but 27-0 is feels a bit weird.
I've got
There
a
there were
couple things here that are interesting with this with the votes here.
Yeah, I
Um
mean, Nick Suzuki getting a first place Hart Trophy vote.
That is insane. And it
Like,
was a Minnesota Wild reporter. He came out and said like, "Yeah, I voted for him. He was my number one." I'm like, "Damn.
bruh.
That's
Like, I
that's pretty wild,
I
honestly."
I get it. You
No
have your
disrespect to
own.
Nick Suzuki, but
Yeah, like I get it. You have your vote and stuff, but like if you have that vote, it's also your responsibility to not phone it in and just do it for the press. Just cuz
mhm,
he's clearly trying to drive clicks to his Twitter or something, right? There's no way he
yeah,
genuinely thought Nick Suzuki was better than Hellebuck, Draisaitl, Cooch, McKinnon, etc.
yeah.
Like,
It's also worth noting McKinnon
very,
didn't get a
very helpful
first
to his team, but
like when you look at it on paper, it's like Nick Suzuki won first place vote is pretty insane as is. He was tied with McDavid at 26 points each, but Nick Suzuki technically finishes in ninth because he got a first place vote and Connor McDavid didn't. Like McDavid didn't get a single first place vote, which I think in itself is kind of crazy because like I just there you feel like there's always gonna be someone that's like, oh, I gotta pick McDavid though. Like I
yeah.
got to. And the fact that he got none, Suzuki got one, kind of crazy. Dustin Wolf, he did get a fourth place vote, which is pretty cool because I kept banging on that drum that hey, he's gonna get at least a vote, and he got one vote. But
Yep.
I've got one that I think is the most criminal out of everything on this list.
Okay.
Kirill
I'd
Kaprizov.
I'd love to hear it.
And terrific season. He looked awesome. He was great at one point. He was actually the front runner for it. But he got injured and he only played 41 games. He only played
It
half of the
was only
season.
41 games? Okay,
He
I thought
got
he was
he
like
got
high
3
50s.
he got 3 fifth place votes. And yeah, they are just fifth place votes, so like it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, it's like he he only played half the season. Like it's just
Uh,
not enough games played to
yeah,
win the Hart Trophy or even
it
get
just
votes.
isn't. Yeah,
Like
it
again, it's
just
no
isn't.
disrespect
I
to him. He
like I
was
can see the
phenomenal,
argument.
but
Even if he doesn't play in those 41 games, they probably don't make the playoffs. So I can see the argument, but like listen, a lot of teams without their best player, like we can't every time somebody is the best player on their team and they squeak into the playoffs like a Nick Suzuki, we can't just be voting them for the Hart but just based on that, right? Like that doesn't mean they're better than the best players on teams solidly in the playoffs. Like
Mhm.
even if that difference is playoffs versus not, it's still that's not what they're going for. And like
Yeah.
there's a couple of goofy kind of names on there. Like Jack Hughes has got a fifth place vote. What
He played 62 games.
he played 62. Okay, that's much more. So like at least that's fine. Robert Thomas got one. Brady Tkachuk got one, which I don't like hate that much, but like it is the Hart Trophy.
Those ones, I look at it and it's strictly those are guys that sit there and say they're the ones that probably sit there and go, "Oh, I'm giving it to who's most valuable to their team," not necessarily overall league. And that's
Yeah,
exactly where it comes because you look at what Brady Tkachuk did this year. You look what Robert Thomas did. Both teams that made it into the playoffs. St. Louis just barely squeaked in, and Ottawa finally getting back into the playoffs. It's I feel like it's totally purely that they just went on most valuable to their team and not league MVP.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
that's exactly why those ones are there. I think, and honestly,
everyone
I
seems
think that's the more
confused
fun.
about how the voting works for the Hart. The league needs to come out and be like, "Hey, this is specifically what we're looking for." Do you want the
Mhm.
guy who's most helpful to his team, the best player, like somewhere in the middle? At least just lay it out so we don't have to keep guessing because
Yeah,
it is confusing.
it
So
is. It's so confusing.
yeah, yeah.
But other than that, I think
Vasi
the
got a
rest of the
fifth place
votes
vote.
all
Kemper
good.
got a fifth place vote. Wolf got a fourth place vote. Were they the only goalies beside Hellebuck? Yes, they were. Yeah. So there's three different guys on the Devils who got on this list. Nico Heischer had a fourth and a fifth place vote, and then Brott and Hughes both had a fifth place. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
they love their Devils.
in the end, Hellebuck won. Draisaitl was very close, and you know what? I don't have a problem with that. He
Yeah,
earned it. I I do feel like it's it's one of those things where like people are comparing the season to Carey Price's year, and like I would love to know like era adjusted if you could is there era adjusted save percentage? Is that a thing? I'd love to know how it compares to the numbers directly because like Carey Price had like it was like a 936 or something, right? Like it was
it was pretty
just
incredible numbers. Yeah,
just absolutely insane. And like obviously Hellebuck had an amazing year this year, but I think he ended with a two or a 925, which is great, but not what springs to mind for a Hart Trophy season. But you know what? If they want to move the goalpost on that, I would love to see it because I do think it should be easier for goalies to win it. When you're talking about the most valuable player, it's already the most valuable position. They shouldn't be behind the eight ball on it. If anything, they should be ahead of it.
Well, and it is worth noting again, he was one win away from tying the most wins in a single season.
That is true. They
Record
did also win the
Halifax.
President's Trophy. He racked up the wins. Carey
Like
Price
he's very
nine.
Connor
Okay,
Hellebuck was my
nine
pick.
thirty three. 933
930.
for Carey Price. So
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's
closest.
kind of yeah, you're like you said, moving the goalpost for like what's kind of the criteria for goalie's going to win the Hart. In my opinion, again, I kind of been banging the drum almost majority of the season, at least from January on, maybe even December, that Hellebuck should win if he kept up on par with what he was doing, and he did exactly that. Um, so he's always my pick. I think it's well deserved, and I love to that we're getting to see a goalie get that recognition. Great video
Yeah.
of Hellebuck and his family presented to him, and then Eric Comrie coming out, his goaltending partner, and being like, "Hey, where's the other trophy?" And here comes the Hart Trophy. I thought it was all really well done. So
Yeah.
uh, again, congrats to Connor Hellebuck. Well deserved, incredible season, and to all the other guys. Again, there's a lot of guys that were very deserving to be in that conversation. That's why we're talking about them and them getting lots of votes. So
Yeah. Alex Ovechkin got a first place vote.
my
If I
boy didn't win the Ted Lindsay though. Like I said, that
if I would
sucks.
have given one to anyone on the Capitals, I'd be giving it to Strome, but that's just me. I think Strome is
I'm still
criminally
going over.
underrated.
I'm going over. He's underrated, but I mean, honestly, guy probably sat there and just said, "Fuck it." Ovi broke the record, first place.
Oh,
Boom, locked it in.
100%.
And it's
Oh,
like, you know
you
what?
that
Fair, fair. I
yeah,
can't
I
even
don't
argue.
believe he
Fair.
genuinely believes it. Like I
No.
think that it was because of that. And if he
Yeah.
knew that it was in at risk of like pushing him into the top 3 or something because of that, he probably wouldn't have done it. Like
Mm,
it was a respect thing, which,
yeah.
you know, I don't
That's
love for
fair.
this kind of thing, but uh it didn't it didn't hurt anything.
Yeah. Didn't alter the results or anything.
Uh,
Um,
that is
moving on.
all the awards we got,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Moving on from the awards, we're going to go over to a trade. We haven't had a trade to talk about in a little while, but we do this time. The New York Rangers, once again, just dumping off guys that have been loyal soldiers to them and kind of hearts of the franchise. Chris Kreider off to Anaheim, of all places. Chris Kreider, along with a fourth round pick, I believe it was, going to the Anaheim Ducks for a third round pick and a prospect. I'm just gonna have to try and find the name of said prospect
Carrie
here.
Terrence.
Carey Terrence is from New York, so that is worth noting. Kind of a little hometown kid going there. What are your thoughts on this deal? First of all,
The Rangers got Terrence and a third rounder,
yeah,
and
for
then
Kreider.
yeah, Anaheim and yeah, Kreider in a fourth. Okay, so I think this is good for Anaheim. It makes sense. You know, take a flyer on this guy. He's only got 2 years left on his deal. So, like, if it doesn't work out, they're not in cap trouble. It's not going to hurt them in the long run. They're fine. If he does, their power plays rough as well. So if he can even just be that guy who doesn't do assists, doesn't do even strength stuff, if he's just a power play merchant, that's kind of okay right now. I've heard that he's pretty good on the penalty kill as well, which would be nice for them. I feel like
Yeah,
they could have got him cheaper. Whether that's salary retention or just not giving up a third in this deal. Like, I feel like a lot of teams would have been like, you have to pay us to take this guy and probably retain some. And they kind of paid to get him. So,
but
but
people
maybe there was
are
more
still low on
interest out
Chris
there.
Kreider all of a sudden. Like, yes, he had a bit of a down year, but everybody on the Rangers did.
Yeah.
Like at that point, you could just be like trade anybody, and well, it doesn't make sense. Everybody had a down year. You look at last year, Chris Kreider played in all 82 games, 39 goals, 75 points. He's only 3 years off from having a 52 goal season. Like,
Yeah.
yes, did he have a down year? Absolutely. But he's also, we know that he was battling through an injury. It was to the point where we were like, damn, they actually, in the Four Nations, they went with an injured Chris Kreider in the final game over a healthy Kyle
Kyle
Connor.
Connor.
I mean, it's
God.
like, what are we doing here? So, and when you look at it, like the Rangers moved up. I think they said it was 15 spots from that fourth round pick to that third round pick. So you move up 15 spots and you get a 20-year-old prospect, former second round pick. Honestly, really nothing great to write home about. Like in his draft year +2 in the OHL, he was still under a point per game.
Yeah.
So it literally was basically a cap dump. Anaheim really didn't give up much to get him. Um, again, though, it's the Rangers. It's there's no loyalty there. Like doesn't
They
matter who you are.
reunited
You're just
Kreider and
always be on
Truba.
the yeah. That is true. You're
That's
always on the
something, I
chopping block
guess.
if you're a Rangers player. If you're Anaheim, I mean, you got to fill that cap space somehow. So, what's Kreider's contract? Do you have
Two
it up?
year 2 years left at 6.5 million.
So there you go. Perfect. That's people are like, oh, bad contract. To get to the cap floor, Anaheim would have
Yeah.
to go out and pay someone.
Bad contract for the Rangers, or bad contract for like a team like Toronto trying to buy on him, right? But like for the Ducks, that's fine.
But that's not a bad contract if when healthy next year he's potting 35 to 40 goals. It's a great contract.
It would be if he was doing that, but you know, if a good team is buying on him, they're probably putting him in
Like
maybe
it's like
second
saying
line, probably third line.
That's like saying, is Artemi Panarin worth 11 mil to only put up 89 points? No.
No, but you expect Panarin a lot more than Kreider to bounce back. Kreider just had an injury and he's 34.
Doesn't matter though. Because again, Kreider's one of those guys that speed's never been a thing. It's just being a guy in front of the net, crashing and bashing for goals. He's like an Anders Lee type of guy. And Anders Lee is still, I think he might have hit 30. I don't know if he did hit 30, but people are just too low on Chris Kreider after one kind of injury riddled season where the Rangers were just dog shit in general. Like if he goes to Anaheim and he puts up 35 goals, fuck, that looks like a great deal for Anaheim. And it's also better that they don't have to take that money and give it to a guy for 4 or 5 years in free agency.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it helps them get up to the cap floor. It's a great veteran to bring. It's a great guy to have on the power play. He can sit in front of the net and crash and bash while all the young guys kind of do their thing on the outside and get it to the inside there.
Yeah.
And for the Rangers, again, it's just clearing up.
Even if he doesn't produce, like just teaching the young guys, honestly, that's what you need in Anaheim right now. Like if that's all he does for those 2 years, that's still fine. To move back in the draft, what did you say, 15 spots? Yeah, whatever. Right? Like,
yeah,
it's a good contract for Anaheim. It's just for the teams that were rumored to be looking at him, which were a lot of teams looking to go for the playoffs. It's a lot of money for a guy that you don't know if he's going to produce well next year.
Yeah, you would be taking a flyer on him, but from what Chris Kreider's done, again, this is kind of his first down year. He's always been a very solid 20-plus goal guy, and in the last couple of years, getting up to, again, 52.
Bit of a playoff performer, too.
And in those years, 81 games, 52 goals, 79 games, 36, 82 games, 39, dropped down to 68 this year again because of the injury. And yeah, he's been a playoff stud the last 2 years for the Rangers. So I'm curious to see what the Rangers do with this money that they've opened up, because now that money's completely off the books. So I'm curious to see what they do. I'm curious to see what the locker room's kind of like, because I look at that
already sounding bad.
Traded away Jacob Trouba, who's your captain. Chris Kreider kind of looked next in line. You trade him. Like, you're looking at that team. It's like, is your next captain Vincent Trocheck?
I wouldn't be shocked if they went with Adam Fox, just to go for a guy that they figure is going to be there long term for sure.
They fucking love just giving the seat a defenseman. I don't hate Adam Fox, but when I look at Adam Fox, I'm like, that just doesn't feel like a captain guy to me. Could be totally wrong, but again,
I'm really not sure. But
you have that money, you still have good players, but I just keep looking. I'm like, man, that locker room just keeps getting rougher and rougher. Like, it's just as soon as someone you're like, you know what, you're not the greatest anymore. We're done with you. We're just dumping you off. We're just trying to get rid of you. And
that's a heart and soul guy to be giving away when it's very documented that your locker room's kind of already in shambles and has been all year. Like that's rough. Not only that, like the Rangers are in a similar spot to Toronto in that for an original 6 team, they don't have a history of superstars, a ton of insane talent, like Chris Kreider, he's good for an original 6 team. You wouldn't expect him to be first in playoff goals all time. And not only is he first, he clears. Mark Messier is in third with 29. Rod Gilbert is in second with 34. Kreider has 48. He's almost like 1.5 of the guy in second on an original 6 team. Like that
goes back to it again.
Crazy.
Rangers are an original 6 team. They've been around twice as long as the Islanders. Both have 4 Stanley Cups.
Yeah, like it's crazy. And like, yeah, it's
I like
it's
it for
too
the
bad
Rangers
for Kreider.
It does open up money, but
they got to use that money well.
Thing, and what are you going to do with that money? Again, like we always go back to Jake Wallman and Detroit dumping him. Detroit really, I mean, I guess they kind of use it because they did extend Seider and Raymond, but it's like
you could have found that money.
That wasn't the trigger you needed to pull to get those type of moves done.
There's a lot of defensemen they could have moved first. They're still giving Justin Hall 3.4.
Yeah. But to wrap this up, because I love giving out trade grades, Anaheim, it's just an A+. I mean, you really didn't give up anything of substance, and you got a guy who could be great on the power play. Even if he doesn't, doesn't work out and he's only 22 goals, 8 assists for 30 points, who cares? It gets you the cap floor. It's only a 2-year deal. If he bounces back, you could flip him next year at the deadline, retain half. Teams would love to get Chris Kreider on a cheaper deal for a playoff run. Like we were just talking about, he's a playoff beast.
Yeah.
So for Anaheim, it's absolutely an A+. For the Rangers, I'll say a B. Yes, you did get out from his contract. I think you probably could have gotten maybe a bit more from him if you kind of waited it out a bit more. Because again, I think there's still a lot of value there. And I don't think it really helps out your locker room a whole lot. Again, that's a heart and soul guy. Like that is your longest tenured guy. And to just dump him and just be like, we just want to basically, they didn't say it, but we just want to wipe our hands clean of you and cut ties. No.
They're like Vegas, but without the success.
Just like thanks for what you've done, but we're dumping you on the side of the road, and it's like, all right,
For the Ducks, I would be closer.
To waive his no trade clause to go there.
That is true. He did have to waive to go there.
Happy to go there.
I wonder how much he wanted to go there, or if it was like I don't want to be where I'm not wanted. Like that shit
Very
hurts.
well
like I'm just gonna go.
And maybe it helps
who knows?
Truba's there, like you mentioned, because they worked together on the Rangers for like five or 6 years. So he gets reunited with his former captain.
Yeah. I'd give this like an A or maybe an A- for the Ducks. I really like it for him, but I do think it would have been really good if they could have, even if they gave up a little bit better of a pick or something and gotten a little bit of retention on this.
Rangers wouldn't have retained though.
I mean,
there's no way. The Rangers would just said, all right, we'll go look elsewhere.
I mean, it sounded like there wasn't a lot of teams kicking tires on him though. Like if they could have gotten
his name wasn't out there for very long. Like it was like rumors of like he's available for trade, and like a day later it's like, okay, Anaheim.
Like even if they got 1 or 1.5 mil retained, and then now that means the Ducks can move him at 50% retained for 2.5 mil. Like not for their cap reasons, just for the cap reasons of whoever they would be shipping him to as a deadline
they'll
move.
retain half.
I think then it would be better.
That would retain half. And again, the biggest thing is Anaheim needs to get to the cap floor.
But you can buy whoever you want in free agency.
But that's the thing, in free agency, you have to give out term. There's not many guys that are like, yeah, I'll come here on a 1 or 2 year deal. Like most guys want to get term, unless you're going out and you're throwing, 8 mil at a guy for 1 year. And we don't really see a lot of those happen. Like it's fun to talk about, but those aren't very common. So I think it's
strange
fine.
That's not more common.
Because how much is he making?
6.5.
So they retain half. It goes down to 3.25. And then there's going to be a San Jose, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Philly, whoever. They'll retain the other half, even maybe Detroit. They love to hop in on those. Carolina even, because they always got a bunch of space.
Yeah, for some reason, Carolina's doing it every year, even though they're contenders.
You get that to about 1.6. Teams can easily fit that in.
Oh, yeah. That's why I'm still saying it's like at war. Me saying pessimistically, it's an A or an A-. Like it's still a great trade. Just like if you could have gotten that number down to, something goofy like 1.3 mil for Chris Kreider, then it's like, whew.
Yeah, it's just at the end of the day, the Rangers weren't going to retain it. They would have. They always find like they found a way to not retain on Jacob Trouba. They found a way to get rid of Barclay Goodrow's contract. There was no way they were even going to retain one bit. They just find a way. They got dirt on every GM in the league. It seems.
Apparently.
But we should move on from this trade. Best of luck to Chris Kreider. Off with Anaheim. Stanley Cup Finals. You mentioned at the beginning, we just finished watching Game 4 in Florida. Edmonton taking it by a score of 5-4 in another overtime game.
Yeah. What an absolute banger. I tried to hockey DB Jake Wallman and I put in Walmart. Just incredible comeback. That was such a fun game to watch. Maybe not in the first period because obviously you want to see a close game, but end up being one. The Panthers come out absolutely buzzing. And how many penalties did the Oilers take? Like they took so many penalties, and they weren't
Both
good
teams had 4
penalties.
power plays.
Both teams
So,
had
well,
4.
pretty even. Well, dead even this game.
Is that throughout the entire game?
Yeah.
Wow, it felt like so many more. There must have
Edmonton
been
had 3 penalties in the first period. At one point, it was a 5-on-3 for Florida. Florida took 3
for about
penalties
2 seconds.
in the second. Edmonton took 1, and then there was only 1 penalty from Florida in the third.
Yeah, and so the first 2
And then
goals
none in
from
overtime.
Florida were both from Matthew Tkachuk on the power play, and then Anton Lundell in the dying seconds of the first. So going to the intermission where it's 3-0. Panthers, great team. They're like a boa constrictor. They suck the life out of you. They choke the life out of you when they're up and have the lead. But they're playing against the Edmonton Oilers, who are the team that refuses to die. And they go out there,
Except
they
for
get
game 3.
Yeah, except for game
really
3.
just
They
said, all right, you know what? We'll die.
fully rolled over.
We'll come back for game 4.
Yep.
But
And
that happens.
they got a
Doesn't matter how good you are. Every
Yeah.
team that gets a little dick slapping every now and then. Before we go up, we want to talk about the comeback. Just want to say for Florida,
Sure.
really good to see Matthew Tkachuk get on the board, especially with 2 goals. Like a guy that his presence has been felt in the series in terms of like the antics, physicality, and whatnot, but not on the score sheet. So to see him get 2 goals, especially this early in the game, is great. And worth noting, Alexander Barkov assisting on both of Kachuk's goals. So Kachuk's getting some goals, and that's Barkov's first and second point of the Stanley Cup Finals. So it's really good to see that from those 2 early on, and it was looking good. It was looking good after the first.
And it was visible that Tkachuk was on hat trick watch. Every time he got the puck, he was shooting, which isn't a bad thing. You know, you want your good players to shoot the puck. But like, man, he had a nose for the net the rest of the game, which was basically the whole game after that point. So he was all over it. In the second period, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins scored on the power play.
It is worth noting after the first period, despite being 6-0 in his career in Game 4, Stuart Skinner once again pulled. He was pulled after the first period of the game after giving up 3. So just
I didn't necessarily agree with.
Was in the net from there on out.
I didn't necessarily agree with it at the time because there was a lot of, there was so many penalties in the first. 2 of the 3 goals were on the power play. Like, especially one was on a 5-on-3. Like, it didn't feel like much was his fault, and it felt like Skinner made a lot of good saves early. But
he was looking
obviously
very good. Like, you saw the flashes that it was like, okay, like he's locked in. That was like,
it looked like he was locked in.
It's one of those things where the coach has to make a move. It's not even necessarily indicative of like the play of the goalie. It's on the players.
It's for their team. It's on the team.
Your starting goalie, the guy that has been a warrior since getting the crease back. Like you failed him, basically.
Yeah,
and now it's go out there and get shit done. And for Skinner, probably a little bit rattled, been like fuck, here we go again. Like I just can't figure it out against these Panthers. And it's like, all right, you know what? Take this off, just relax, rest. Well, Pickard's gonna go in there. He's gonna try and lock it down, get the job done, and he did. We now know that he did. So I didn't love it, but I also see it. I'm like, it makes sense. I totally understand.
Yeah,
why.
Yeah, like I didn't hate it, but like it's one of those things where it's like I wouldn't have done that. But it is not a bad call. It's just the call they end up going with, and it ended up working for them. In the second, they draw a penalty power play for the Oilers, and Nuge snipes one. His was just his was a great pass, a great feed from Draisaitl for a power play goal. Second goal was Darnell Nurse, who a lot of people like. I halfway expected him to not even show up for the second period. He was so bad. It was like I wouldn't be shocked if they benched him even in the Cup final. And
Edmonton Oilers roller coaster,
absolute laser from a bad angle, picks the corner. Absolutely incredible shot. And then 2.5 minutes later, not even, he got the primary assist on Podkolzin's goal to tie it up. And all of a sudden it's 3-3, and that building was shut. They were so loud early, and they got quiet.
They were quiet, yeah.
Which must have been very nice, because after 3 goals, they're buzzing, and they're going, Skinner. Like, they're freaking... I don't know who started it, but I'm getting a little tired of every goalie being chanted at.
It originally started with Nashville. Nashville started it back in the late 2010s when they were like, you know, a force in the playoffs and they had a trip to the cup final, but they only ever did it after goals. Whenever the goalie got scored on, they would like chant the goalie's name, then be like, "You suck," and then it's all your fault, it's all your fault type of thing. And now it's just kind of translate to where it's like every team does it. I've heard every single fan base in every single arena across the playoffs do it. Like
Pretty
it's not an
much.
original thing
The
anymore.
the first
It's
one that I
honestly just
saw,
it's fucking annoying. I hate it. I
it
really
goes
do.
on too long. It's just too often. Like it's
It's
happening as
like
often as "Go
yeah.
Panthers" chants in Florida, and it's like that's
But
it's a
it's
bit
okay,
much.
and it's not just Panthers fans. It's every
No,
it is every fan
in
base
this
in every
game, it
arena.
was obviously
In this
Panthers
game,
fans
yeah,
because they were the home team. But like
yeah,
the first time I heard it was, I want to say around 2020, 2021, when Flames fans were doing it to Ottinger when he was having his luck because they felt like they had to curse him because he was playing absolutely balls to the walls nuts. Like win the
mhm,
Conn Smythe if you make it to the second round level hockey in
yeah.
that first round. So like that's the first time I had heard it, and yeah, now it's every team's doing it, chanting at every goalie, and
It's I'm really sorry, but like if you engage in that and you're a part of that, please stop. Like it's just I'm
I
just so fucking over it. Come up with something original. Come up with something new. Come up with something fun. Like this shit's just it's just played out. I'm just tired of it. I really am.
like even if it was
Not
just after a
original.
bad goal or something, or like
Mhm.
you could still chant at the goalie, just like
Or
mixing it up a little
or
to the smallest
even if you
degree.
just did what Nashville did, if you just do it after every time the goalie gets scored on, fine. But to
Yeah,
just do it like, "Oh, puck got dumped in icing. All right, let's start doing it." It's like, why?
yeah,
Just
like
dumb.
that just feels goofy. I get it; they're trying to get in his head, but fart, not into it. At once they're down 3-0 after that third goal, chanting like "Thank you, Skinner." That'd be funny. Doing something like that's fine.
Yeah. Like,
But
just saying the name, like, yeah, I'm just over it, man.
maybe it's the way it's just long drawn out Skinner. Like it's a sound that can grate on your ears pretty quickly.
Mhm.
But either way, it is
Before we
three
get into the
three
third,
going into the
just wanna
third.
throw out there, is really good to see Nuge on the board, a guy that's very clearly playing injured in this cup final, like,
Yeah,
he's maybe at 50%. The fact
yeah.
that he was
He
even
went down
able
the
to get you a
tunnel
goal,
at
um
10 minutes
yeah,
left in the third, and then he came back.
so even the fact that he's able to get you a goal here is incredible because again, he had 1 goal and 1 assist in 7 games last year and had nothing in this series up to this point. So, doing it at 50% and then being able to get a goal from him and the goal that kickstarted this comeback. Like if Nuge doesn't score on the power play there and Florida kills it off, Florida probably just goes on to win this game. Nuge kickstarted this and that's all you needed from him. Like
Yeah,
he got it going and the rest of the team got the job done. That's literally all you needed.
yeah. And so they come out in the third period, tie game. The electricity's in the air. The it's settled in that it's 3-3. It's no longer you blowing the comeback. It's like, okay, there's a little more energy in the building going into the third, but it's a nervous energy. And then about 13 minutes in, Jake Wallman gets a pass from Nuge to Kapanen, and then from Kapanen to Wallman. Wallman winds up for about the longest I've ever seen somebody wind up for a one-timer and just lasers it just over the glove of Bob. And it is 4-3 Oilers. Uh, Great play. I guess this is part of the Yeiser plan.
Yeah.
That I got to assume.
Mine was all along for him to go to Edmonton
I assume
and
Stevie
do this.
knew that he was this kind of player when he attached a second rounder to get rid of him. Because sure, um, right
Yeah.
before this goal, like maybe 2 minutes earlier, I think, or maybe it was a little bit after. There was a point where the Oilers had possession. I think it was after. I think it was 4-3. So like one more goal would kind of be a dagger. And Bouchard made some move and then back passed it to McDavid. And McDavid just had so much time. He had
So much.
so much time. And he walks in all the way from the blue line down to the hash marks. And this madman winds up for a freaking giant, like Victor Hedman, Shea Weber style slap shot from the hash marks. And he didn't score, but I was so excited to see him just walk in and take a clap bomb when that is not how McDavid scores goals.
Yeah,
Like
no,
that was such an
no.
un-Connor McDavid play. If it worked, I would have lost my mind. Like
And then he
the
got
Chad
another
energy to
great
walk in and do that.
opportunity flying through the middle, shattered Ekblad's ankles once again, and
Put him on his
terrific save
ass, yeah.
by Bobrovsky to keep this a one
Bob
goal
had to
game. And
stop a
keep the
lot of breakaways.
yeah,
He had to stop quite a
Bobrovsky
few.
tonight, like all in all, because we're gonna talk a little bit more about Oilers goalies, but Bobrovsky absolutely fantastic this game. They did lose. He did allow 4 once again, but you know what? When he needed to make big saves, he made big saves to keep his team in it and give them a fighting chance. And they did. Before we talk about the tying goal, I did say in the last episode, when we were talking about the Oilers and their antics, I, was specifically kind of mentioning guys like Kane, Nurse, Wallman, like guys that should have more of an impact in the game, and they didn't because they were just caught up in all they just fucking around and trying to mess with Florida, and Florida sitting there laughing. I'm like, yeah, we got you right where we want you. This is what we wanted you to act like.
Yep.
And I just said, focus on playing hockey. You're good players when you're focusing on the game. You're helpful to your team. You're impactful. And what happened tonight? They were focused on playing hockey. Darnell Nurse scores a goal. Jake Wallman gets on the board. Evander Kane didn't, but hey, you know what?
Yep.
2 out of the 3. When you're
And
playing
Nurse
hockey,
had that
you're
primary
focused on
assist for
winning
Podkolzin
games.
too.
Yeah, like when you're focused on playing the game and not on this other bullshit, you can be effective players. And boom, 2 of you scored. So
Yeah, and
there
not
is
only
that. And I
that,
think
they
that's
did it
important to note.
they did it after, I guess not 40 minutes because it went to overtime, but they didn't even really stop fucking around in the first period. Like they were still playing that goofy style that we saw in game 3, but then that switch flipped. I don't know what Knobloch said, but it was different in the second, third, and overtime, and they showed up big. They gotta freaking keep their sticks down, man. You do too many high
Mhm.
sticking penalties. Absolutely
Stick
brutal.
infractions are the worst penalties you can take.
Yeah.
Straight up.
And it's not even
Um,
like if they weren't even like bad ones, like but like okay to stop a breakaway or something. Like it was just
mhm.
needless.
Yeah. And so Edmonton, after the Woman goal, they do get up 4-3. They're trying to hang on to the lead. Florida has the goalie pulled, goes on for a bit. And Sam Reinhart. I still don't know if Kachuk was planning on shooting that or if he meant to fan or what.
I
But
think he
whatever
was. I
happened,
think he wanted the shot.
the
He
puck
was shooting
slides
everything. He wanted it so bad, but yet it worked out for him,
worked
didn't it?
out. The puck slides over to Sam Reinhart. Sam Reinhart from the side is able to bury it there. The only goal scored on Pickard. So, you make the goaltending change and you're unsure about it. But hey, you know what? It paid off. He only allowed one and it did come with 20 seconds left.
Not
That,
his fault. There was a bunch of
yeah,
shots. There was a lot of I don't remember
one of those
who it
ones the
was
goalie can't.
behind the net, but with about 20 seconds left, one of the guys tries to clear it and passes it right, like chips it up in the air right into the body of one of the
Mhm.
defensemen on the Panthers, and that's how the play ends up developing. Come on, man! With
Yeah.
that little time left in the game, when you're up by one, we're beyond to go for the empty net. We're beyond ice the
You would
puck.
have been better off,
You
honestly,
stay
straight up.
on the boards. You
Well, you
stay
would
on
have
the
been
boards.
better off straight up just flipping it over the glass.
I mean, yeah,
Like,
they scored off the giveaway, so yeah, you can't
yeah,
even argue
you
against
you
that.
can't turn it over, especially in that. Sam Reinhart ties the game. We're talking about Corey Perry in game 2, scoring the latest game-tying goal in Stanley Cup final history. Sam Reinhart scores the game-tying goal with 20 seconds left. That is the second latest game-tying goal in the Stanley Cup final. So, like that's incredible that we've seen that twice now of the 2 latest tying goals in Cup final history. And with that goal from Sam Reinhart, it sends us to the 100th overtime game in Stanley Cup final history. Pretty
That's
cool.
cool.
Pretty cool.
On
Um,
Genuinely, I think even if this series ends in 6, I think this is already like a top 5 all-time Stanley Cup final. And I think they need at least one of the remaining games to be actively boring or bad to
mhm,
not be the greatest. Like just on
mhm.
sheer entertainment value, like I I've never I've been lucky enough to see my team go in the last 10 years to the same amount
Yeah.
of cup finals as we've had first round exits. And I've never seen anything this incredible to watch. Like just the
Yeah,
sheer
and like,
entertainment
and
values and off the
people
charts.
were like, people were talking of like, of how good this finals is, and they're like, oh, and like last year was just as good. I mean, we got 7 games out of it. Last year's final, in my opinion, honestly, hands up, fucking sucked. Yeah, we got a game 7, it was 2-1. But you look at it, it's like Florida dominated game 1, Florida dominated game 2. Game 3 was a bit close, but it was like Florida's taking this. And then Edmonton dominates game 4. Edmonton dominates game 5. Edmonton dominates game 6. So it's like we only got one close competitive game, and that was game 7. Sure, that's great, but the 6 games before that fucking sucked. This one, it's like you look at it and it's like Florida could have won the cup tonight. Florida could have swept. The 2 games they lost were in overtime. Edmonton genuinely could have swept. But the fact that we're at a 2-2 because we got 3 overtime games, yeah, Florida kicked their ass and walked all over them in game 3, but it was still an entertaining game with all the antics and the shit going on. For an Edmonton fan, it probably sucked, but from a neutral hockey fan, for someone that's got no skin in the game, just wants to see good hockey, there were still entertaining moments to it. So I'm right with you. This has been a really great Stanley Cup final. Like the fact that we're sitting here, like we've already got 3 overtime games, and we're tied up 2-2 now. Like it's a best of 3, and we've seen the highs and lows of both teams, right? We've kind of seen that where Florida can get that lead. Like the games 1 and 2 were close, like kind of back and forth, like fight right to the end, and they split it even, one apiece in Edmonton. And then game 3, you see that from Florida, they get the lead and they hold on to it. And then Edmonton, oh, we fire back. It's now 1-goal game. Florida immediately responds. That's something Edmonton's been really good at doing. And then Florida just builds on it and keeps their foot on the gas and holds on in typical Florida fashion. And tonight we see the Edmonton side of a comeback. When it looks like you're down and out, down 3-0 after the first period on Bet365, you're getting that early payout if you went with Florida. And Edmonton turns the table and says, yeah, we can come back. We can get shit done. And they did it. So we've seen what both teams are about. Best of 3 now.
Best
That's
of
my
3.
rant. That's my whole rant on it. Do you want to wrap
I
this up
would,
here with the overtime as well? Because we also haven't
yeah,
fully talked about the end of the game as
yeah.
well here.
I would disagree that last year's was boring. In that final, I definitely think it wasn't like if for whatever reason it had to end in 4 games and 2-2. I still think this series is already better than last year's, but I think the
When
reverse
I say
sweep.
last year, though, I just want to say not the fact of like, Florida's up 3-0 and Edmonton almost pulled off their reverse sweep. The games in itself, though, like the overall
No, yeah,
series was entertaining on that, but it was the games you look at and it's like,
yeah,
you got maybe like 1 game, or well, I guess aside from the game 7, because that was awesome. But
yeah.
outside of that, you had 1 game that was like, oh, kind of a close little battle, but
Out
it
of the
didn't
last
quite feel that
6
way.
finals, I think I would put it the 4th most fun to watch. I think Vegas, Florida was an absolute shit stomping, and I don't think that was incredibly fun. And then Tampa Canadians was pretty one sided as well.
Yeah,
So I think I'd put
those were
those
the ones
below
that
it.
stand out of being, yeah.
But I think yeah, then it's last year's, and then whatever order you want to put the rest of them that have happened since 2020, somewhere above it. With this one
I
probably
would
potentially already being number 1, man.
I'm not saying it yet because I'm still actually very high on the Colorado Tampa one. I know you may not be for like obvious reasons,
Yeah,
but again, just a neutral fan who's like, I'm like, I haven't seen my team in the playoffs in feels like a fucking decade. So I just always want to see good hockey, and that series,
it had good
to
hockey.
me, it was really good. Like it was just incredible. So I'm not ready to say this series is better than that one yet because I still hold that one
Yeah.
really high in my
I'm
rankings.
assuming this
But
one will get there, judging
we're
on
on
what
a
has
good track.
happened in the projection for the next few games.
Mhm.
But I know a lot of people really didn't like it because there was no fans in the arena. But Tampa Dallas, that actually had incredible hockey. I
That one
remember
was
being
also pretty good, but
I was
it's
so
the
shocked
fans
in the
that kinda,
finals because
yeah.
I didn't think they had a very good team. I kind of thought Dallas was like on a huge Cinderella run, and then they got there, and I was like, these guys are fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah, that one just isn't as high. Again, a great series, but not having the fans really kind of killed the vibe a bit. That's literally the only thing. But it is a big thing.
It gave me this
Fans are a
weird
big part of the atmosphere in the
pay-per-view
game.
feel. Something about it felt
Mhm.
like I wouldn't like I mean right after that I would find out very quickly that it's not as fun doing that for an entire regular season, but for the limited time we had it, it had a novelty. And maybe that's just looking back on it with rose-colored glasses cuz I mean,
Yeah.
we won. So, there's
And,
probably a
and
lot
and
of that.
maybe it's kind of the same thing. Like for those who don't watch wrestling, you may not understand, but it's like I stopped like you know you and I both like we were kind of big into wrestling in the early 2010s, and then I kind of stopped for a while, and then I kind of started getting back into it during COVID because I was like what else am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, what the hell
fucking
else is going on? The
I,
NBA,
I
the
I ran
NHL
out
all
of
shut down?
yeah, like I ran out of lotion at that point. Toilet paper was fucking hard as shit to find. So I'm like, what do I do? So I got back into wrestling, and some of the greatest stuff I watched in throughout wrestling happened during that COVID time. But then you look back and it's like, man, the atmosphere's kind of fucking sucks though with no fans. Like fans are a big part of any sporting event, and so again, yeah, Tampa Dallas was great, but then just kind of looking at it, like no fans, it's like, man, like I would have been
You
so
definitely
sick if
miss
there were
the
fans there.
fans. I
Yeah.
will say it was something was super cool about every time there was a goal. Just every time there
Mhm.
was a goal and you just there's no crowd like obviously one of the best things about sports is when a goal goes in and everybody jumps, right? Like that shit's
Yeah.
electric. But there was something really cool about how much passion these guys obviously have to win the cup. And every time a goal goes in, you get to hear all five guys on the ice go, "Yeah!" Like they
Ross
all
Colton.
simultaneously do that same yell.
Ross
And
Colton,
just
when he scored, his scream
dude, he
was just
fucking
electric.
screams when he
I
scores.
still remember that to this day because it's like,
He
man,
does that in the regular season too. He just gets
yeah.
fucking excited when he
But being
scores.
able to like just hear it clear as day, that scream, oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But we should continue trucking along here. Do you want to wrap us up here and bring it home here with the overtime?
Yeah. So overtime was pretty close. I would say it maybe favor the Panthers a bit, if anything.
Thanks.
Probably around 60-40, something like that. Like it was a little bit in their favor, but it was a good back and forth. And uh, there was one moment where Sam Bennett got a pass over, a clean look, a clean shot on the net, and it looked earmarked for the top of the net. Leading goal scorer, I'm pretty sure, still in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And uh, not Skinner, but Pickard got his glove on it and just tipped it high enough that it went off the crossbar and out. Uh, the arena, everyone in the crowd thought it was in. Uh, Matthias Ekholm for sure thought it was in because the puck came to him and he almost just shot it away because he didn't know the play was over. The ref is like trying to get in front of as many people as he can as he's doing the like no goal motion to be like, hey, everyone, pay attention to me. It's not a goal. Keep playing the game because so many guys were like kind of standing up vertical. They start going again. Like 10 seconds after that is when the Draisaitl pass up to McDavid kind of half breakaway odd man rush happens, which would have been insane if they scored right after that kind of false finish. And then in the end, Draisaitl gets another break. He has an odd man rush in with Corey Perry, makes a nice little move, one handed, kind of pokes it through, and it just goes 5-hole on Bob. Game winner, assisted by Ekholm and Podkolzin.
Yeah, it was really, yeah, it just had to be Draisaitl, regardless of how it went in. Like, the thing about Draisaitl again, like we talked about before, no Stanley Cup Finals or no Stanley Cup playoff goals in his career coming into this year. He's got 4 now.
Yeah, overtime goals.
Yeah, sorry, overtime goals.
And now he's got
Wasn't the
4.
prettiest goal, but at the end of the day, it's a goal. Couple of things that's worth noting. We were talking about Stuart Skinner 6-0 coming into game 4s across his career. Yeah, he led in 3, got pulled after the first. Still 6-0. Doesn't get credit with a loss because Edmonton came back to win. And if Edmonton did lose, it would have been Pickard's loss. And with that, Pickard now becomes 7-0 in the playoffs this year. He is yet to suffer a loss. So,
Yeah.
um, really for Edmonton again, like, like we've talked about, just a incredible gutsy win. Like you're down 3-0 in Florida against this Panthers team. They got like a chokehold on you. You make that goaltending change. You come out, you score 4 unanswered to get the lead. And you did to Florida exactly what Florida did to you in game 2 in your barn. You tie the game up late, vibes are good, crowds going crazy, and then, Florida scored in game 2 to shut everybody up and take it back to Florida. Edmonton just did it to Florida now, scoring overtime. They're taking it back to Edmonton now. Series is tied up 2-2. Best of 3. Both teams are looking great after tonight's game. Like, you could say, oh, Florida blew a 3-0 lead. You know what? Edmonton showed that they can get fucking rolled in a period and not be able to scrounge anything in that period. And it's just great playoff hockey, man. It just straight up, that's just what we're witnessing.
We're gonna
I'm
get
glad we
sick
got
of
a
saying
game
cinema,
where
but goddamn, does it fit the
it
description?
it fits so perfectly for this. We're seeing both teams at their best, and I can't wait for game 5. I can't wait for game 6, potentially game
No,
7. It feels
now
like we're
who
going
knows
7.
what's gonna happen?
It feels like we're going 7.
Yeah, it feels like it. I could see it in 6. I mean, obviously, it has to go 6. It's either one or the other at this point. But oh, it would be a disservice to not get it to happen again. Game 7.
Mhm.
See if
Like, game 7 was great
Draisaitl and
last year,
McDavid can
but
exercise their demons.
it was a little bit weird. It was a bit of a weird feeling going into it, but, like, this one where it's just both teams are at their best. No team's riding a high of, like, winning 3 in a row. It just back and forth, bang, bang. It just I would love it. I'm truly hoping we get a game 7. Like, strictly, I'm at a point where, tonight I was pulling for the Oilers because, again, I just want to see it go 7. So now I'm like, game 5, I don't care who wins. I just there to watch good, hard playoff Stanley Cup final hockey. And then game 6, I'm gonna have to be kind of pulling for whoever's
Whoever
down in the
lost,
series
yeah,
because
whoever
I'm like,
lost the game
I just
before.
want to see 7. I was rooting for Florida in game 2, game 3. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Game 4, it's got to be Edmonton. Game 5, yeah, I don't care. But game 6, whoever's down, I got to pull for them because we as hockey fans, we deserve a game 7.
Yeah,
We really do, especially between these teams. Like, we got to run it back from last year. Have to.
I just looked this up because I was curious, and it would appear we made some more history tonight. Uh, Leon Draisaitl now has 4 overtime goals in a single playoff run. That is the most all time. There are only 4 people who have ever gotten 3 in a single playoff run, but nobody's ever done 4. So
So
he
there
went
we
from
go.
0 to the most in a single postseason
And
all
that's the
time.
power of a healthy Leon all the way throughout the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Um, there's a lot of recent players on this list. Especially on the frickin' Panthers. Holy crap. So Draisaitl's the only one who's ever gotten 4. Only 1, 2, 3, 4 guys have ever done it with 3, and then a bunch are tied at 2. One of the
I'll throw
guys in
one
3
guess
is
out. I'll throw one guess out.
go for it.
Carter Verhaeghe.
I figured you'd guess him, and I'm shocked he's not one of the guys with 3.
Oh, fuck. It's got to be Matthew Tkachuk.
He's got back-to-back 2 in 21-22 and 22-23. Kachuk in 22-23 had 3. Corey
Yeah.
Perry in 16-17 had 3.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The other 2 with 3 are Maurice Richard and Mel Hill in 1950 and 1938. So I wasn't
remember
watching
those games. Yeah. Those were great. Those were great hockey.
Absolute banger. Absolute bangers.
I could tell
But,
you every
like,
detail of those games.
Like Matthew Kachuk had 3 in 22. Marchand in this year has 2. Verhaeghe had 2 in back-to-back years. Marchand in 2020. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many guys on that team who have multiple in a year. It's crazy.
And they're 1-2 in overtimes in the Cup final here. Edmonton's finding a way, and it's Draisaitl get it done here. Wrapping this up, the playoff talk.
I
here.
need
Do
to
you have
see
anything left
McDavid
to say
score.
on?
Has McDavid scored in the final
McDavid
yet?
doesn't need to, though. He's getting He's
But I
getting
want to
assists. He's
see.
doing other.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I
he's
get it though. Like,
making
want to
such an
see it, yeah.
impact.
Like it's
I
not
want
like
to see
he
him
needs
bury
to,
that
but
shit.
to see it, yeah. I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I
But
really
again,
want to see him get the OT winner, just like and like have an insane celly that gets him a statue raised outside the arena.
I will say though, this might be controversial, but if McDavid scored the overtime winner tonight, it wouldn't even be his biggest overtime goal in this year. Four Nations.
Four
I'm still saying
Nations.
that was fucking huge. I would still have to put that above. But now, if it was one of like it goes to overtime and McDavid scores to win the cup, all right, that's a totally different story.
Yeah.
But it did that Four Nations, man, there was just
and
incredible. I missed it.
Not in a single overtime or not in a single playoff run, just all time overtime goals in the playoffs. Draisaitl's 8th. He had 0
Yeah, there you go.
2 months ago.
Yeah.
He's 8th all time. And he'll be tied for
It's not very
3rd.
often you see guys, it be the same guys. Like it's a lot of yeah. It's just usually not the same guys year after year. They get it, but
tied for 3rd.
big
Carter
time player.
Verhaeghe, Brad Marchand, Corey Perry, all the fellas. They're up there. Jamie Langenbrunner, good for him.
Stud.
Good yard.
Stud.
Esa Tikkanen.
To wrap this episode up, we are going to go back to, or did you have anything else, or were you good?
I think I'm good. I could talk about Yzerman paying to get rid of Wallman some more if we want.
Yeah, we've buried you. We'll give him a little bit of a break. We'll probably come back to him next episode of Wallman.
Dude, that's
once again.
Dude, that's bad.
Just fucking goofy by Detroit.
That's like the hall. That's like going in the Hall of Shame.
It has to. But to wrap this episode up, we're going to go back to a fun game that everybody loves. I know we love Braden. We are continuing on for the last little bit. We've only been doing this game about once a month, but we are going back to guess the player. For those who don't know this game, for those who are first timers here, game is pretty simple. I have a player. Well, I actually don't have a player. I asked ChatGPT again for this one to give me a random NHL player. Yes, they are an active player. Yes, they are a player. You all know. And it's very simple. All Braden's got to do is just ask me yes or no questions, and he's got to try to narrow it down to the player in as few questions as possible, and he only gets one guess on the player. Braden, are you ready?
I am ready.
The clock is set. The fans are hungry. They're ready. You can begin whenever you like.
Just because I think that was kind of a fun way to do it last time. Do you want to give me on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being easiest, 1 being hardest? How easy do you think this is to guess? Like, how obvious of a player is this? Like, are they a first liner? Are they a depth guy? Just on a 1 to 10.
Say 7.3.
Okay, so a little bit more obvious. It's not a Connor McDavid, but it's he's probably in the top 6 or the top 4 or something, assuming it's not a goalie.
I'll say 7.3. I think that's
Okay.
fair. And if I need to justify it afterwards, I definitely can. But I think 7.3 is fair.
All right. I like it. Let's first try and narrow down the team. I think we got to go with trying to figure out the division, not the conference. Because
you know what? Actually,
how do I beat
just for fun, because I actually really enjoyed it last time, I'm just going to give you one freebie guess right off the rip.
Okay, you know what? I like that.
And if you guess it, I do have a backup player. I always do have a backup player just in case if you do get it, because that would be incredible.
Yeah.
So I will have a backup player if need be. We still will play the game, but I will give you one free guess.
All right. One free guess. Ooh. 7.3. Is that specific? Is that specific? Is he a 73?
No.
Well, I can't. So it's not Connor Sheary. Damn. Who is it? Is Rempe 73? Maybe. Anyway,
he's still in the league. Shit. Sorry, Rempe. Fuck. Don't come beat me up.
Who knows? I think I want to go with hit me with a Tim Stützle.
It is not Tim Stützle. Oh. Good guess though. All right, you may now resume your normal field of play here.
All right. Give me Is this player play for a team in the Metro Division?
They do not play in the Metro Division.
Damn.
They do not play in the Metro.
Brutal L.
It's a tough way to start. Tough way to start.
Do they play in the Central Division?
Ooh, they do not play in the Central.
Neither of those.
Trouble early on, just like the Oilers. Can he pull off the comeback? And your record is 8, by the way.
Right.
If you are chasing that,
of
that
course,
GOAT status.
I need that. I need that new record. If I guess one of the divisions, even if I'm wrong, it'll tell me which division they're in. But is it worth it to do that and just burn a third one? It still won't even give me the team, and I'll be 3 in. I still have to figure out if they're a forward, what player it is. So they're in the Pacific or the Atlantic.
Correct.
Does this player play for the Boston Bruins?
Ooh, they do not play for the Boston Bruins.
Damn.
I like that little fire from the hip, though, trying to hit the target.
I had to try and hit him.
You had to try. No Boston player, though.
Oh, I feel like I got to figure out the division, even if it burns one. Are they in the Atlantic?
They are in the Atlantic. Yes, they are in the Atlantic.
They're in the Atlantic, but they're not on the Bruins.
Two banger questions here. You could give yourself a chance to try and snipe the player with that 7th one. But you know they're in the Atlantic and they're not a Boston player. That's all you know.
Is this player a forward?
They are a forward. They are, in fact, a forward. A forward in the Atlantic, but not on Boston. And I guess technically not Tim Stützle. I guess you get that little freebie.
Oh, true. Thank God.
You have that.
I was so close to guessing him again.
What are you thinking here? Got a couple ways you could go.
How many guesses do I have left before I have to guess to beat the record?
Technically, if you want to beat, you have one more question and then you got to guess the player.
Oh, nasty.
Yeah, it's you got to have a good start to give yourself a good run at it.
Does this player make equal to or more than $6 million per year?
They make more, yes. Yeah.
So in the Atlantic, forward, more than 6 mil, not on the Bruins.
And not Tim Stützle.
No Timmy.
No Timmy today.
Oh, and so if I want to beat the record, I have to guess now, huh?
You would have to fire from the hip here and try and hit it, yeah. Or you could always ask one more and then guess the player and tie your PB. Personal best for those who.
But who wants to tie?
Slang. No one ever wants to tie. There's no ties. There's only overtime. 3 of them we got.
7.3. And how obvious it is. That's obvious-ish, but it's not. That's not a superstar. Is that an all-star level guy though? Is he a little beyond just a top sixer? I mean, he's making more than 6 mil.
It's got to be someone of some sort of impact at least. Yeah, if you're making that much. I guess unless you're Chris Kreider. People are so down on him.
Bum.
I'll stand by you, Chris. I got you.
All right. I am going to lock in a guess. I'm going Jake Gensel.
Oh, so close.
Damn.
So close.
On name
One
or
more
on
guess.
team?
Just throw out one more guess.
Should I just be like guessing again, or should I look into your reaction? Like, is it a Jake somebody?
No, not a Jake.
Good, because I only know Sanderson. He's a defenseman.
Throw out one more
So
guess just for
close.
fun.
I've got two names, and I feel like it's going to be the other one that I don't guess. Let's go with Brandon Hagel.
It was Brandon Hagel.
Oh,
It was.
yes.
And so I went 7.3 because he's a pretty like well-known player, especially after Four Nations, what he did this year. But I'm like, he's on Tampa and a forward, so he's probably like the fourth guy you would guess out of the
Yeah.
forwards. Like between like, well, maybe not Kucherov because like Kucherov's kind of written off, but like Point, Gensel, even maybe Cirelli, like.
Yeah.
And I guess even if at the time, because you didn't know it was a forward, I was even like, oh, well, Victor Hedman, you could go with him. Like, there's quite a few guys on Tampa, so that's why I kind of went 7.
I was so close right at the end to saying Point, and then I thought about it, and I was like, actually, I just the way that I was like, you know what? Because Hagel was in the Four Nations, and he might be in a couple more headlines because of his fight. I went with him on the last guess.
You were so close. You were right in there. No personal best today, but you did get a valiant effort. So for that, I will give you a round of applause. I don't know if my mic picks up my hand claps, but I did give you a round of applause.
Yeah, it was pretty crisp, honestly.
Love when it's crisp. But we are at the tail end of this episode. Once again, thank you all for joining us on this journey across Stanley Cup playoffs. We have definitely noticed an increase in viewership from all of you, and once again, we really do appreciate that. If you want to talk hockey, you want to let us know your thoughts on the Stanley Cup Finals here. Let us know. Hey, did you guess the player? Probably not, but if you did, let us know. I
didn't give you a lot to work with on that one.
Yeah, you really did. You really left him hung out to dry. That's on you. That's on you, buddy.
I just guessed my team and it ended up being a player on there. I didn't even have it narrowed down to that.
But if you want to let us know how you did and whatnot, you can do so through any of our socials. The links to all the socials are in the description across all episodes, across all platforms. Braden, it has been a very long week, a chaotic week of the Stanley Cup Final. Looking forward to Game 5 here on Saturday. But before we get to that, before everybody goes out and does whatever they want with the rest of their day or evening here, I must ask you, final thoughts.
Final thoughts? Take us back to Game 7. We need, the hockey world deserves 7 games of this.
We really do. We deserve it. We've had a long year. We deserve it. Couldn't agree with you more. But that will do it for this episode. One final time. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, we will see all of you lovely people out on the ice next week.